Me name's Derek, 43 years old, principal systems architect at Vertex Logic. Sitting at my desk, just staring at a Teams message, not answering it. Ryan from engineering wants help with some data model design mess. Half a year ago, I would have gotten up right away. Walked over to his desk, spent an hour breaking it down, drew boxes and arrows all over the whiteboard. Made sure he got more than just the fix. Made sure he understood why it worked. That used to be me, the guy everybody came to. 16 years of hard-earned knowledge handed out for free. Now I just type back, slammed right now with my own stuff. Close the chat. Go back to doing the absolute minimum. Ryan will solve it eventually, or he won't. Not my problem anymore. I used to actually love this job. Used to love being the one people trusted. Used to get a little proud when somebody said, "Derek knows this stuff, ask him." Now, I just watch the clock and wait to go home. All of it changed in one moment. 30 seconds of getting embarrassed in front of the whole department. 15 years of loyalty gone like smoke. All because Phoebe Mercer decided to use me as a prop in front of everyone. Apparently, my crime was being a man who knew too much. But I'm jumping ahead. Start at the beginning. I joined Vertex Logic 13 years ago. Came in as a regular mid-tier developer. Work my way up the old-fashioned way. Not by kissing ass, not by office politics, just by being damn good at the work. I understood systems all the way down. Could see how one bad decision in one place would wreck 3 other things later. Could spot failures other people couldn't trace. Could build architecture that didn't fall apart the second traffic got real. After a while, I became the guy people automatically called. Weird technical issue nobody could untangle? Ask Derek. Ancient platform everyone else was scared to touch? Derek helped build it. He'll know where the bodies are buried. New initiative needs an architecture check before launch? Get Derek in the room before anybody commits to anything stupid. I was never management, never wanted it. Didn't care about budgets or org charts or performance review nonsense. I just wanted hard problems and smart people. Wanted to solve stuff and help other people get better. Over the years, I mentored a ton of developers. Guys, women, didn't matter to me. If somebody actually wanted to learn, I taught them. Spent more hours than I can count explaining concepts, sketching diagrams, walking line by line through code, watching that moment when it finally clicked for somebody. That was the payoff for me. Not some fancy title, not an extra percentage on a bonus. Just knowing I helped somebody level up, knowing we were building better things because people understood what they were doing. Our department was around 40 people. Developers, architects, infrastructure people, the usual mixed solid team, pretty collaborative. People respected what each other brought to the table. You could ask for help without feeling stupid. You could give help without sounding smug. It worked because people trusted each other. Trusted that asking a question wouldn't get you laughed at. Trusted that knowing your stuff actually meant something. Trusted that we were all pulling in the same direction. 2 years ago, our director retired. Guy named Leonard. Old school type, but fair. Treated people the same across the board. Cared about competence more than anything. Didn't care what you looked like. Cared whether you could actually do the work. Company brought in a replacement, Phoebe Mercer, 39. Came over from some startup in Denver. Resume looked great. Big launches, good growth numbers, all the right buzzwords. Also lived on LinkedIn. Constant posts about women in tech, shattering ceilings, dismantling toxic bro culture. I didn't really have a problem with any of that. Supporting women in tech sounded fine to me. This industry obviously has its issues. If that was a cause she cared about, whatever, good for her. First month, she mostly watched and listened. Sat in on meetings, reviewed active projects, scheduled one-on-ones with everybody. Met with me for about an hour, asked about my role, asked what areas I covered, asked how I approached mentoring. I told her I usually helped with architecture decisions, filled in gaps when teams got stuck, helped junior devs understand the bigger picture, kind of became the unofficial institutional memory for the department. She nodded along, but I couldn't really read her expression. Then she asked if I ever worried that I took over conversations. I told her I usually tried to hear people out first and only jumped in when somebody asked or when a project was about to go off a cliff. She wrote something in her notebook, didn't react much, just moved on. Second month, she started changing things, reworked meeting structures, added speaking time tracking, said she wanted equal participation across the team. In theory, that sounded reasonable. Some people definitely talked too much. Some people barely spoke at all. Trying to level that out wasn't a crazy idea. But the way she did it felt wrong. She'd cut men off in the middle of a point, say something like, "Let's open space for voices we haven't heard yet." Then let women keep going, even if they had already talked plenty. It wasn't really about balancing airtime. It was about sex. Men got interrupted. Women got the floor. Didn't matter whether what they were saying was useful or not. By month 3, the tension was impossible to miss. Phoebe started dropping little comments in meetings, always with a smile, like she was joking, always aimed one direction. Craig suggested a technical path on one project. She goes, "Let's not automatically follow the first male opinion in the room." Ryan asked a basic clarifying question in another meeting. She said, "Some people don't need every detail repeated for them." Little shots like that, always at the guys, never direct enough to file a complaint over, but enough to build up, enough to change the air in the room. I started noticing the men on the team getting quieter, talking less in meetings, offering fewer ideas, editing themselves before they spoke, trying not to say the wrong thing and become the next target. The women noticed it too. Meredith, one of our strongest senior developers, mentioned it to me. Said the meetings felt off now, like there were tripwires all over the place. She said it didn't feel empowering. It just felt tense, like everybody was on edge all the time, including her. Month 4 is when everything blew up. The exact moment that wrecked the whole thing. Big project review meeting. Basically the entire department there, around 36 people, plus Martin, the division director, plus a few stakeholders from other groups. Big room, big audience. One of those meetings where every word feels like it matters. We were reviewing architecture decisions for a major platform overhaul. I had designed the original system 9 years earlier. Knew that thing better than anybody alive in that building. Been pulled into planning the whole time because of that. Phoebe was leading the presentation, giving status updates. Then she got to the architecture slide, and right away, I could tell part of it was wrong. Not slightly wrong, old information. She was describing an option we'd already killed months before because it had scaling issues I had flagged early on. We'd already moved to a different design because of it. I raised my hand to clarify before bad info got locked into people's heads. She looked at me and let out this annoyed little sigh. "Yes, Derek." I kept it polite. Said the approach on the slide had already been reviewed and rejected because it wouldn't scale properly. Said we'd gone with a different architecture instead. Started explaining the reason for the change. She cut me off before I got 2 sentences in. "Derek, I'm aware you have thoughts on everything, but this presentation is not your personal stage." I said, "I'm just trying to clarify what the current architecture actually is. The stakeholders need the correct information." She looked straight at me with this open disgust, then said, "What you call clarifying, other people might call mansplaining. Your 16 years of experience do not make you the final authority on every subject. Some of us became experts without feeling the need to dominate every discussion." Room went dead silent, like somebody hit mute on 36 people at once. Everybody just froze. I could feel my face go hot instantly, heart hammering so hard I could hear it. Then she kept going. Said, "Maybe if you spent less time explaining things people already understand, and more time listening to viewpoints besides your own, the team might actually work better. Then she said, "Please let me finish my presentation." And that was it. Just sat there. Couldn't even get words out. Publicly labeled a mansplainer in front of my coworkers, in front of my boss, in front of outside stakeholders. All because I tried to correct bad information about a system I built. A system they had specifically been asking me to advise on. Nobody said a damn thing. Not Martin, not the stakeholders, not the people on my own team who knew I was right. Everybody just stared at their screens or pretended to type. Nobody wanted eye contact. Nobody wanted to be near it. Nobody wanted to be the next one she picked. Meeting just kept moving like nothing happened. But something had happened. Something that wasn't getting undone. I barely remember any of the rest of it. Just sat there in this weird, numb haze, humiliated and half dissociated. When it finally ended, I walked back to my desk, sat down, stared at my monitor, couldn't focus on anything, couldn't think straight. Just kept hearing the same words over and over. Mansplaining, personal stage, dominate every discussion. 16 years of showing up. 16 years of helping people. 16 years of solving problems nobody else wanted. And it all got flattened into some cliché, some office stereotype, like I wasn't a person anymore, just another guy to make an example out of, some warning label about men who think they know things. About an hour later, Meredith stopped by my desk, kept her voice low, said that was seriously unfair. Said everybody in that room knew I was right. I appreciated that she said it, I really did. But it didn't fix anything. It didn't erase what Phoebe said. Didn't erase the fact that 36 people watched me get cut down in public. Didn't give me back whatever got taken from me in that room. That night, I told my wife what happened. She got furious immediately, more pissed than I was, honestly. Said I needed to document it. Said I should go straight to HR and report the hostile environment. I just looked at her and said, "What's the point? Phoebe's a woman. I'm a man." She used the word mansplaining. HR would probably side with her before I even finished the story. They'd tell me I needed to think more carefully about how I come across. They'd turn it into coaching for me instead of accountability for her. I'd seen that movie before. Guy complains about treatment, gets told he's defensive. Woman's behavior gets framed as understandable. Guy learns to shut up and take it. That's what I learned. Keep your mouth shut. The week after that meeting, I stopped volunteering anything in discussions. If somebody asked me something directly, I'd answer as little as possible. Otherwise, I stayed quiet. Phoebe seemed happy with that. Probably thought she'd corrected my behavior. Probably thought she'd finally reined in the guy who took up too much space. What she actually did was kill any desire I had to contribute. Ryan came to me later with a technical question, something I could have solved in maybe 5 minutes. I told him, "I'm probably not the right person to ask. Don't want to mansplain." He just stared at me, confused. Said, "Derek, I literally came here to ask for your help." I shrugged, told him maybe he should get somebody else's input, different perspective and all that. He walked off, looking genuinely hurt. And yeah, I felt bad about that. But I also felt something else. Safe. If I didn't help, nobody could accuse me of taking over. If I kept my knowledge to myself, nobody could call me a mansplainer. Doing nothing turned out to be the safest move. So I kept doing that same routine with everybody. Craig asked me something about an old legacy platform. I told him I couldn't really remember the specifics. Said he should just look through the docs. Yolanda, one of the junior devs, asked if I still had time to mentor people. I told her I wasn't really doing that anymore. Said Meredith might be a better option. One by one, I started turning people away, putting up walls where there used to be open doors. Pulled back behind this shield of low effort and minimal contact. By the second month after that meeting, it wasn't just me anymore. Other guys in the department had seen exactly what happened, and they came to the same conclusion. Talk too much? You're a problem. Share what you know? You're taking up space. Better to shut up and protect yourself. Meetings got weird fast. Empty. Everybody's sitting there silent, waiting to be called on like kids in class, giving short answers and nothing more. No follow-up thoughts, no pushback, no real discussion. The collaborative energy that used to make us good just vanished, replaced by this cautious little survival mode. Problems that would have been solved in 10 minutes of open discussion started dragging on for days. Ideas that used to move around the room stayed trapped in people's heads. Whatever spark the team used to have just died. All that was left was compliance. Meredith saw it too. Told me the team felt dead now, like working with a bunch of zombies. Everybody technically there, nobody mentally present. She tried to keep some momentum going, tried to keep meetings alive, but one person can't fake the energy of an entire team. By month 3, the damage started showing up in numbers. Productivity metrics slipping, deadlines getting missed, projects starting to drift. Bugs that would have been caught in review made it all the way to production because nobody wanted to be the one to speak up. Architecture calls were getting made without proper technical input because the people with that input had stopped giving it. Ryan's data project started running into issues, the exact issues I would have warned him about if I'd still been willing to help. I watched the whole thing struggle from a distance. Felt two things at once. One was vindication, because I knew I was right. The other was guilt, because I could have prevented it. But helping meant sticking my neck out again, and I wasn't willing to do that anymore. Craig started interviewing with other companies. He told me quietly one day he couldn't stay under Phoebe much longer. Said the place had gotten toxic. Said he didn't feel respected. Didn't feel safe either. I told him I got it because I did. He asked if I was looking around too. I told him I was thinking about it. Hard not to after everything I'd put 15 years into that place. But what exactly was I holding on to if this was what the culture had become? Month 4 after the incident, Craig was gone, accepted an offer somewhere else. In his exit interview, he brought up what happened to me. Said watching Derek get publicly humiliated made him realize nobody there was protected. If the most trusted technical person in the department could get ripped apart in front of everybody, then what chance did anyone else have? Phoebe brushed his departure off. Said some people struggle with accountable leadership. Said Craig leaving opened room for more diverse voices. Almost laughed when I heard that. Lose a strong engineer? Call it progress. Month 5 is when the big projects started coming apart. The same one from that meeting, the one where I got shut down. Architecture problems started surfacing. The exact problems I'd tried to point out before I got silenced. System wasn't scaling the way it needed to. Performance issues started stacking on each other. Client deadlines suddenly looked shaky. Martin finally stepped in and asked for a technical assessment. Phoebe tried to manage it on her own at first, but she didn't have the depth for it. Eventually, she had to come to me. Walked over to my desk, looking more uncomfortable than I'd ever seen her. Said, "Derek, we need your input on the architecture issues." I looked up at her, the same person who'd embarrassed me in front of the whole department, now standing there asking for the expertise she'd mocked, the expertise she'd called mansplaining. I told her I was probably not the right person. Said I wouldn't want to dominate the conversation. That landed. She actually flinched a little, then said, "I know things were said, but this is critical." I said, "Things were said?" "Yeah. In front of 36 people, my competence got questioned. My motives got turned into a joke. And now suddenly, you need my help?" She still didn't apologize. Just said, "The project needs you, Derek." I told her, the project needed me 6 months earlier, too. Back when I tried to give accurate information, and you called it mansplaining. Then I turned back to my screen, told her I had my own work to handle. She stood there another second, then walked away. And what I felt wasn't exactly satisfaction, wasn't revenge either. More like a weird sense of something closing. She rejected my expertise when I offered it freely. Now she got to see what it cost when it wasn't there. That afternoon, Martin called me into his office, asked me what happened between me and Phoebe. So I told him all of it. The meeting, the public humiliation, what changed after, how I stopped speaking because speaking up no longer felt safe, how other people started doing the same thing, how the team slowly died because its leader poisoned the room. He listened the whole time without cutting me off, then asked why I never came to him sooner. I told him honestly, I figured HR would back her. Guy complains about a woman, guy ends up being the problem. That's usually how that story goes. He nodded real slow, said he wished I'd trusted him enough to come earlier, but said he understood why I hadn't. Said the project failures had forced a lot of things into the open. He'd already been hearing concerns from multiple people, bits and pieces from all over the department. And once he started putting them together, it painted a pretty bad picture for Phoebe. A week later, she was put on administrative leave, pending review of her leadership style. HR sent anonymous surveys to the whole department, questions about team culture, communication, management, all of it. I never saw the responses myself, but from what I heard, they were brutal. Detailed too. Same pattern coming up over and over. Men getting shut down, expertise getting brushed off, collaboration getting strangled. Month 6, Phoebe got moved into a different role. Individual contributor, no direct reports. Not technically fired, but everybody knew it was a demotion. The company announcement was all polished corporate nonsense. Organizational restructuring, need for a different leadership model, all that fake language. Everybody knew what it actually meant. Martin stepped in as interim team lead. First meeting, he addressed the whole thing head on. Said the last year had done real damage to the team. Trust had been broken, communication had collapsed, and rebuilding it wasn't going to happen fast. Then he looked right at me. Said some people had been treated unfairly, said their expertise had been dismissed, their contributions mocked. Said he was committed to rebuilding a culture where people's knowledge was respected, where asking questions wasn't treated like weakness, where helping coworkers wasn't framed as domination. It was just what a good teammate does. After that meeting, Ryan came over to my desk, asked if I had time to look at his data issue, same one I'd blown off months earlier. I hesitated. First instinct was still, protect yourself, keep your head down, don't stick your neck out. But Martin's words were still fresh, and Phoebe was out of the picture. So I told him, sure, show me what you got. Spent about 2 hours with him, went through the architecture, explained the patterns, showed him the traps that would have bitten him later. Watched his face do that thing it used to do when a concept finally clicked. Same look I used to see all the time back before all this garbage. When we were done, he said, "Thanks, Derek, I missed this." And I told him, yeah, me too, more than I realized. Getting the team back wasn't instant. Trust doesn't come back overnight. Some of the damage stayed. Craig was already gone too. Other people had left during the worst stretch. 2 years of institutional knowledge just walked out the door. But slowly, the team started feeling alive again. People spoke up more, asked for help without looking over their shoulder, offered what they knew without worrying they'd get accused of something. The collaborative energy started coming back. Not all the way. There were still scars, but enough for the team to function again. Enough to actually do good work. About a year later, I got promoted to principal architect. Martin pushed for it. Said it was overdue. Said it recognized both the work I'd done for years and what I'd put up with. I appreciated that. Not even because of the title. Just because somebody in leadership finally said out loud that what happened was wrong. That I had not been the problem. Leadership had been the problem. I mentor people again now, Ryan, Yolanda, new hires who came in after the mess. I share what I know freely, again, answer questions fully, help people grow the same way I always used to, before somebody decided that was some kind of character flaw. I still think about Phoebe once in a while. She's still with the company, still in an individual contributor spot, mostly keeps to herself. I have no idea if she learned anything from any of it. Maybe she understands what she wrecked. Maybe not. Honestly, I kind of suspect she still thinks she was the one treated unfairly. Like she got punished for standing up to male dominance, not for being pointlessly cruel to a coworker who was trying to help. That's the ugly thing about ideology. It can make people blind to the damage they do, can make cruelty feel righteous, can make somebody think they're fighting oppression, when really, they're just creating it. She turned my expertise into mansplaining, turned helpfulness into domination, turned knowledge into some kind of weapon, and probably still sees herself as the victim, even though she was the one throwing punches. My daughter's in engineering school now. I told her this whole story once, not as some warning about women, as a warning about ideology. Any ideology that needs cruelty to justify itself isn't worth following. Any leader who humiliates people in public isn't somebody worth following either. Respect isn't male or female. Kindness isn't male or female. Competence isn't male or female. You judge people by what they do, not by what category they fall into. And you never let somebody make you feel guilty for being good at your job. That's not privilege. That's not oppression. That's not dominance. That's what it looks like when somebody earns their place after years of work. Anyway, that's how 30 seconds of public humiliation basically shattered a team's trust. I was the person everybody relied on. 15 years of sharing knowledge freely, thousands of hours helping coworkers. Then one comment from a new manager. Mansplaining, that was the label. Or domination, depending on the day. Said in front of 36 people, including my boss, including outside stakeholders. Easily the most humiliating moment of my career. And the room's response was silence. Nobody defended me. Nobody challenged her. Everybody learned the same lesson instantly. Speaking up wasn't safe. Knowing things wasn't valued. Better to keep quiet. So that's what people did. They got quiet, and the team just died. Meetings turned empty. Collaboration dried up. Innovation stopped cold. Good people left. Projects started failing until the damage got too obvious to hide. And even then, she blamed everybody else. Never owned it. Never apologized. Just got moved somewhere else and probably still thinks she was right. One cruel little moment. 15 years of trust blown apart. That's what leadership can do, for good or for bad. So if you're going to use it at all, use it carefully.